What is up, my Transformers family? Welcome back to George Reviews. I am your host, the 80s Transformers fan, and today, the 80s Transformers fan will be taking a look at more Generation 1 vintage Transformers from Hasbro. Let's take a look.
Autobots, transform! Ramjet, intercept!
We are up to number 15. It is Decepticon Secret Ramjet. Ramjet is based on a McDonnell Douglas F-15 but modified, and I don't believe this modification exists anywhere in the real world except for in the world of the Transformers. Basically, it's the main body with new wings and new missiles / bombs. Now, I wouldn't have been upset if for the second wave of Seekers they would have been simple repaints of Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp that we actually saw walking around in the background on the Sunbow cartoon. I would have totally accepted that and ran with that because we already had those jets. But the second three Seekers were sort of kind of meant to have always been there in the background, and they just like didn't flush them out. They just became characters in season 2, unless you count the episode The Gambler, where they introduced a new Autobot named Defcon. He sort of alluded to having been chasing Ramjet and Dirge around for years along with Astro Chain, and then they wound up on Earth with Megatron. So you can kind of, they don't actually specifically state that's where the other three Seekers had been, but they kind of imply that. I just ignore that and just use my own head canon to say these guys were just always there in the background somewhere. Alright, before I go too far, we have to get Ramjet checked off our list. I always forget to do this. This is the 1985 catalog, of course. And we gotta flip it to the Decepticon side, and you can see where we have counted down figures throughout the list, been checked off. And where is Ramjet? Here he is, right here. And if you were like me as a kid and you dreamed about owning all these figures back in the day, get some glare off of that. Check out Ramjet. He is depicted with bright red wings in an amber or yellow cockpit, which is so cool. I guess they continue to make more decisions and changes. He has some early prototypes where he was just like Thundercracker with red wings on him. If I got a couple picks, I'll drop a couple picks in. But let's get this guy checked off. We're going to cross off Ramjet at number 15 and put a check by the actual figure. And moving on. So, in 1985, Hasbro gave us Ramjet, who did not come from the pre-existing Micro Change, Diaclone, Microman, toy line, or whatever they had over there. He was totally a Hasbro inspiration incarnation, save for the main body. But what you got when you purchased this guy in 1985, I don't have a box. You would have gotten the box. But I got pretty much everything but the box. Here are the robot points that came out of the box, and here is the tech spec that was somewhere in the box. We'll come back to this in a second. You actually got one decoder to decode the tech spec and see his hidden stats, which was very, very cool. So 80s. Actually, I have two of these for whatever reason. You received a mail away for more figures to bolster your collection. I pulled this out so many times, but we have the Power Dashers, the Time Warrior watch, which goes for hundreds of dollars, and the Omnibots, and the little mail away, the price point, the points you needed, and the money you needed. And this was like a really great deal. I hated that I didn't take advantage of more of these. But back then, like getting something in the mail was really iffy. You would order things and only got like 50% of what you ordered. And his catalog from 1985 that is minty fresh. I'm not going to open this, put this to the side. And then we get his instruction booklet. I don't think I've ever been inside this thing. It's perfectly flat and pristine. But we're going to take a look. This is the front cover. This is the little artwork for him. So appropriate. It looks so Generation 1 because it is Generation 1. Evil Decepticon Ramjet. And as we open it up, we can see everything that comes with the toy. 2 fists, the plane, front landing gear, 2 tail fins, 2 cluster bombs, a sticker sheet, and tech spec decoder. And it shows us the jet, how to assemble, how to disassemble, the main body, how to take it apart, transformation, the proper way to put the cone. They originally had it down, and I believe the animators put it up for the cartoon to distinguish them from the original 3 jets, which was very clever. More of the transformation, how to assemble the toy, where to put the stickers, and the rub sign, and how to read the decoder text spec. This is what made toys in the 80s so fun. They went above and beyond. They didn't just give you the toy. They gave you something to add to the imagination of it. The little booklet, the text spec, the decoder, which is so awesome. Speaking of which, Decepticon Ramjet, function, warrior. If it flies, crash it. Mid-air collisions are his specialty. Makes little difference if target is opponent or not. He'll crash into it just for fun. A terror without equal in the skies. The skies are my castle, and I like to live alone. His nose module can withstand impact of 3-foot thick concrete at 1,500 miles per hour. Flies as fast as Mach 2.8. Carries cluster bombs. Too many crashes can injure him, particularly internal mechanism. Now coming over here, reading from the text spec. Normally I'll read from the book, but we're going to see, because they adjusted some of these, like they took out a lot of the halves. But for fun, I'm going to go from the text spec, and then I'll correct it on the screen if needed to be corrected. His strength is an 8. His intelligence is a 5. His speed is a 9. His endurance is a 9. His rank is a 5. His courage is an 8. His firepower is a 7. And his skill is a 6. Not bad. Nice, formidable Decepticon. I like when they made Decepticons like powerful, or even any villain in any fantasy. Like if you got an opposing army to your good guys, the villains have to be competent. You know what I mean? You can't make everybody a coward or weak. And it's like how did they ever take over, or why they in business if everybody weak? So I really like that about Ramjet. All right, according to the booklet, we are missing the fists. From this figure. Here are his fists. And now this is everything you got in a box from Hasbro in 1985. So let's bring the jet closer and take a look at it. Like I stated earlier, he's a modified McDonnell F-15 fighter jet. And the wings sort of kind of look like stealth jets, stealth bomber jets. Looks very cool. What I didn't like is with this guy in Dirge is why the body isn't uniform like the first 2 Seeker jets. And I'm pretty sure it was done on purpose to make him stand out more. But they could have went with like an all black on this guy. I've thought about customizing one, make him look really stealthy, or just all white. The wings could have been white. You know, I don't get what they were going for here. It was one of the reasons why I didn't purchase them as a kid. I'll get more into that for my story at the end of the review, why I didn't purchase them. I never had Ramjet as a kid. I picked this guy up years ago at a toy show, and he was like really beat up. But I got him for like 14 bucks complete. I took him home, cleaned him up, and I put reissue stickers on him. These are Starscream's reissue stickers on my Ramjet. His sticker sheet and Starscream's sticker sheet is virtually identical except for the knees. On the vintage Ramjet, the knees are red, and I just happen to have one right here. This is even more beat up Ramjet body that I have, but the only difference is, I mean, it's the exact same printing on the sticker, just the color's different. Same in the vents, the back. This kid just had the stickers wherever, but it was the same thing except for that, so it worked out cool. But other than that, it's the exact same sticker sheet, and I just happened to get in the early 2000s Toys R Us reissue Secret Jets. For whatever reason, like each package had 2 sets of sticker sheets, so I had an extra sticker sheet and I was able to put it on this guy way back then. So yeah, here he is. Other than that, the cockpit opens up right there. That is very nice, and they made some modifications to it. It's hard to get a Diaclone pilot into the 1985 Seekers as opposed to the 1984. I think they changed this little plastic piece right here. They reinforced it so it wouldn't break off so easily. It makes it too thick to actually get a pilot in there. He is actually my favorite character out of the second wave of jets. My favorite toy is Thrust, but this guy is definitely my favorite character. Let's get Ramjet transformed and ready for some action. And here is our 1985 Ramjet ready for battle with the Autobots. Now, if you know me, I am never an official transformation guy. Well, mostly never official transformation guy. When I see something that can be done better, like I take the wings and just reverse them. Just like this, because I like having a Decepticon symbol and the striping showing. It just gives them a little bit more personality from the front. And also, if you know me, I did not like these bombs. This is the reason why I passed on them as a kid. I saw them in the store and I just passed on them because they didn't look like the first wave of Seeker's missiles. And then on the cartoon, they drew in the first wave of Seeker's missiles for the second wave guys who did not have them. But created my own. Now this is a launcher and missile from Thrust and from Sandstorm eHobbies Generation 1 reissue, but it wasn't reissue. It's the first time I ever made Sandstorm. I took the white bits and added them because it blends in perfectly with Ramjet. Now I have what they should have did when we were children. And you know what? They were going to give this guy and the other Seekers in 1985 the missiles from the original set of Seekers. I have a picture right here where you can see I'm in a long missile done in white. I think this is just a prototype and it never made it out, but they were going to do it. They should have did it, but I did it for myself, and this is how I display them on my shelf. And tell me what you guys think. I think it absolutely pops for this guy. This is what they should have done in the first place. Let's bring Ramjet in for a closer look. Take a look at his face. It is the exact same face from the original Seekers and all the Seekers. This is the same head, the giant sticker across the eye because they couldn't be bothered to paint the damn thing back then. Die-cast chest, giant fist, non-moving legs. In fact, the only thing that moves on this guy are the arms. Well, I just moved the wing, but the wings move. But the arms rotate full 360. I'm trying to keep the missiles and stuff from popping off in there, still popping off. And you get the wing movement. That's all that you get. But it's what you get from Generation 1. And I absolutely love my Generation 1 toys. No complaints here. Now you can take his bombs so you can store them and not lose them. And like peg them in to the back of the wings. And not only, again, you keep them on the figure for storage. And then they are out of the way and you can't see them from the front. Which is very nice. Alright, it's time to give Ramjet the size up and a rundown. Here's Transformers Masterpiece Ramjet, still frozen in his pose from my shelf. Here's Ramjet with Masters of the Universe Ram Man. Okay, I'm not going to keep going with the Ram thing. Sticking with the Ram, here's Ramjet's Generation 2 counterpart, and what a difference a simple wing configuration can make for a figure. I actually use him as a regular Seeker jet in my army, not a G2. Speaking of different characters, here's my custom Rain and Sunstorm and what could have been in 1985 instead of these modified guys. Here are a little bit more modern Seeker jet scaling Earthrise Starscream and Thundercracker. Here's Ramjet alongside Six Shot and Scorponok, because why not? Last but not least, here's Generation 1 Megatron and Soundwave, respective reissues. Alright, when wrapping up these reviews, I try to throw in a childhood story or a favorite story from my memories, but I really don't have one for Ramjet. All I have is what I told you earlier. I didn't want him as a kid because the colors didn't match and the missiles, these giant bombs, were just terrible. So I never bothered with Ramjet. I saw him in stores a lot and passed on him. I should have grabbed him, but I didn't. But that's my Transformer story. As far as like favorite moments, he wasn't very heavily featured in the comic books. I read the Marvel Comics version of Transformers, and on the cartoon, he was pretty cool. He matched his test spec. You would never imagine that a jet would just crash into things, and that was kind of cool. And then to me, that was like an unexpected secret weapon. This guy would just bash everything, and they put it in the cartoon every chance they get. I think he head-butted a horse one time, or what was it, the knight off the horse. But the guy, he was just doing all type of crazy things, crashing in the mountains. He ran in the warpath one time and regretted it. But they kind of portrayed him, captured him as much as they could. 1985 cartoon was just hit with so many characters, they didn't have a chance to flush out a lot of guys. But he had a few moments, and that was cool. But buying tips for this guy: if you don't have him, you're looking for Ramjet, you're looking for him loose. I always say buy complete, check out the stickers, and if you can't buy in person, avoid the online site so you can check the stickerware and things like that. And as far as like buying a mint sealed in box, he's going to hit you for 600 plus in the sealed box. I don't collect. I once tried to buy Transformers mint sealed in the box, and I figured out quickly I can get a lot more toys for a lot less money and not bother with the mint sealed in box. But if you want him mint in box and not have to pay the vintage money, you can get one of two reissues for this guy. One is from Takara between 2002 to 2004. He came in something similar to a Generation 1 box without the flap on the top, and he came with a collector's card. In the United States, he didn't get the single release treatment like Dirge did at Toys R Us for whatever reason. Him or Thrust didn't get it, but he came in a 3-pack a little bit later on, like 2008 collector's edition. I think it was called a Platinum Edition 3-pack, where he came with Dirge and Thrust. And at Big Bad had it at one point, even had it on clearance, and it was at a time where I had so many Transformers toys that I was like overloaded on reissues, and I didn't grab it. Now I regret it because I don't have a secondary Ramjet in my collection. And if you want to go the knockoff route, this guy actually has a KO now. When I did the original set of Secret Jet reviews, there were no KOs on the Secret Jets, but now they have them. You can get him for like 40, 50 bucks off eBay in the Generation 1 style packaging, but he is a knockoff. I don't have any, so I can't speak to the quality of those, but you can go that route if you so chose to. All right, now I want to talk variants. You know I love a good variant, and as far as Generation 1 Ramjet from 1985 goes, he has one true variant. That's the orange cockpit. I've seen it online, but I've never seen it in person. I've been to a lot of toy shows. I've never met anybody who actually had it or conversated with somebody about it, but I know it exists. Here's a picture of it. Normally, I try to hit you guys with like a toy story from my childhood about the toys that I have. But like I stated earlier, I didn't have Ramjet. I should have got him. But as far as the character, I really like the character. If the second 3 set of Seekers had a leader, it would have been Ramjet. Ramjet came across as the bravest and toughest of the second 3 set of Seeker Jets in 1985.
You so brave now. Too bad your courage does not hold up under fire.
Alright, my Transformers family, that will do it for another episode of George Reviews. If you are a fan of the channel, if you just watched this video and you enjoyed it, if I provided a piece of knowledge that you didn't have before you watched this Ramjet video, please give me a thumbs up and don't hesitate to comment below. I enjoy the interaction greatly. And also, it helps out the channel because I've been getting buried in the algorithm lately. So don't forget, if you thought that much of it, please don't hesitate to share the video. And remember, these are the videos where vintage 80s Transformers still live.
Autobots, transform.